So Liam and Ilana asked me to do a bit of a goal session with you guys. That is personally as well as professionally. How do you set up goals and how do you actually achieve goals? How do you live a successful life? Okay, so Ben.
Jy moes ons nou nie attente opgemaak het.
Well, now I just feel better. Okay, so I'm going to quickly run through some things that's working for me personally. It's very practical, it's very easy on how to live a goal-orientated, successful life. Okay, so I'm literally applying this every day in my life and it works. And it's so easy and it makes life so simple. Okay, so just a bit of a testimony for the guys that do not know me. I matriculated in Kempton Park, that is in Johannesburg. I went to Potch after that for 3 years, where I studied sports science, but I only studied for a year and a half. And there I escaped the trap of normality. Thank goodness. I'm very happy that I did that, and that I escaped the trap of normality. It's fantastic. So what happened was, I actually had a dream inside of me to play professional cricket. So I went for this dream 120%. And then I decided to stop studying. That was the best decision I've ever made, but it was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made because I felt like a failure for this simple course that I was studying. I didn't finish it. But on the other side, just something on the contrary, most of my testimony is God-driven because I'm a Christian. So I believe God is part of my journey. So just FYI for those who does not know that. So basically, the Holy Spirit told me, stop studying and trust me and go for this dream that you have. And I said, fantastic, so I'm going for the dream. I'm committing full out for this dream, and it was actually a journey of failure, over and over and over again, where there was literally no success, even though you applied principle and you went full out for the dream. I suffered through many failures, and actually I didn't achieve that dream, but the dream put me on a course for something better in life. So that was what happened when I decided to challenge the status quo of being normal. If I continued to study, I would probably be somewhere in Pretoria, Joburg, I'll probably be a teacher and doing a bit of coaching and stuff like that. So that is the difference decisions can make in your life when you decide on certain things. So basically, year and a half I played cricket then, that was 3 years in Potch. And then from Potch I moved down to Cape Town in faith. So what actually happened was, I believe God called me to move to Cape Town. And there was no door that was opening up for me. And it was in January, I moved out of Potch to Kempton Park, back to my parents' house. And I was telling them I'm going to move to Cape Town. And they were saying, fantastic, we support you. And then nothing happened, because there was no doors that opened up. I expected the door to open up, someone to phone me out of the blue and tell me, hey, we've got a position for you here in Cape Town, please move down, we're going to roll the red carpet out, there's going to be people waving a flag and say, he's arrived. That never happened, because nothing in life just happens. Nothing happens without action and decision. Okay, so I packed my bakkie, I greeted my parents, I greeted the family and the friends, and I drove down to Cape Town in faith. I didn't have a job. I really didn't have a place to stay as well, but still I was full of faith in my heart. God's calling me to Cape Town, He will provide. So I moved. I stayed in Malmesbury with people that know my parents for 2 weeks, and then I shifted my way across to Belleville, started with a bit of coaching, etc., etc. But still the main focus was this cricket dream that I pursued, was the main focus of my life. Okay, so then in 2011, yeah, as I said, that was 2011, I packed my bakkie and I moved down to Cape Town. In 2012, I lost everything that I literally had. So the stuff that I had in the bakkie that I brought down to Cape Town and the stuff that I could afford in this journey from 2011 to 2012, they stole from me in 2012. I lost everything. I had nothing left. Nothing. They broke into the apartment that I stayed and they just stole everything. And I had 2,000 Rand in my bank account and I couldn't buy anything back. So what actually happened is they stole my shoes and I didn't have shoes. I didn't have money to buy shoes because I needed to buy food with the 2,000 Rand in my bank account. So I needed new shoes. So for 2 weeks I walked with slippers. But it was this Opa slippers, it was well disguised. You really had to look close to see that, these slippers. But I walked for 2 weeks with these slippers. I even went to church with that because I didn't have shoes. It sounds horrible, but it was quite tough. So 2012, there was also a lot of loneliness in the journey, because when you sometimes live a life of purpose, a life where God calls you, there's going to be loneliness involved. So it was the loneliness, and I lost everything that I had. So I had to keep the faith in that moment. A critical part of that is when they broke in, they sold everything. Now, because everything was based around my cricket, they didn't even touch the bag, because God knew that that was very important for me to continue to do. So it's the most expensive thing in the apartment. It was standing in the corner, and when I came in that night, I'll never forget it. I came home and I saw this weird light shining out of the kitchen, and I'm like, this light should not be on. I'm not sure what light this is. And I saw the window and the curtain just blowing out of the window. It's the first time I saw that, and then I realized, oh, something happened here. They even stole the food out of the fridge. And they left the bag, the cricket bag. They left it. They didn't touch it. It was untouchable. They went through the whole apartment. They stole everything. They even stole my razor. But they didn't touch the cricket bag, which is amazing. And then I could actually continue to work. So the next morning I was up. Even though I had nothing, I was up and I was continuing to move in the direction of my dream. So that's just a bit of a testimony in 2012. 2013, I had no job. And I was staying in this house in quite a tough community. I was staying in this house there for an hour. Literally had a conversation with God. I said, I'm not going to stay here longer than a month. Well, I stayed there for 1 year and 8 months. So obviously he said, you're going to stay here. You ain't got no choice in the matter. So I stayed there for 1 year and 8 months. I didn't have a job. That was 2013. I lived literally on just the bread line every month, just making it, just every single time. Luckily, so by faith. And then in 2013 I had the concept to go into business, because I was asking God for something new, because obviously this cricket was not fulfilling me, it wasn't coming to realization, etc, etc. So I literally wanted something new, and I asked God to give me something new, and all the Holy Spirit gave me was, why don't you go into business? That's it. There was a thought, it was a concept. Suddenly, quickly in my mind, I thought, I'm not going into business. That's interesting. The closest that I've been to business in my life was, accounting in Standard 9 or grade 11. I did accounting, that was it. And accounting is not business, it's just figures and sums and stuff like that. So I got this concept to go into business, and what I did is I said, well, I don't know anything about business, I need to go into business, so I need to spend time with people who knows business. So I found 2 people that I knew that was quite good in business and well established, and I sat with them and I said, well, you got to teach me now, this is your job, how do I become business orientated if I've never done business in my life? So they said, well, you got to read this, and you got to read this, you got to think like this, you got to do this, you got to take action on this. And I did. I literally picked up a book. I started to read more about business, to challenge the status quo, to challenge my mindset that's been built up. Now you got to imagine there was this poverty for 5-6 years, consistent failure, consistent poverty, just making every month for a long time in my life. I just made every month, just. And now suddenly you have to go into a wealth mindset, because you can't be money conscious if you go into business. You need to be free of money, and I wasn't free of money. If that makes sense. So I picked up the book, I started reading, and I started to think practically, okay, well, if I'm going into business, what can I do business-wise that can now be applicable? And it was obviously, I was good in cricket, I did a bit of cricket coaching, so I used what I had, and that was cricket knowledge. So I started to plan this cricket business that I'm going to start, this academy and this website, where I'm going to do cricket stuff on this, and I'm going to take over the whole cricket industry in South Africa. Because when I have a thought, I always think, how can I take over? How can I dominate? How can I become the biggest in the industry? I never think small, I always think large. So I thought now I was going to take over the cricket industry, and built a business plan for this, and I just started to think out of the box and to read more books. And then in November, Liam gave me a call and he said, well, we've got an opportunity, are you interested? I said yes. I started out here as a FNB bank salesman. I sold bank accounts. That's like one of the 120 services you guys do now. I started with an FNB bank account salesman. So I found people after the company was registered. I said, hey, do you want an FNB bank account? And I had to make it exciting, and I had to actually produce. And also B certificates. So I sold B certificates and FNB bank accounts. So I did 2 services of 108, and you guys are doing now. And then from there on, I think it was about 2 months, Liam and Ian had a meeting with me, and they said, well, you've been faithful, you've done good with what we gave you, it's time for the next level now. And the next level was to become a franchisee and start my own thing here in the firm. So I was faithful over the little things they gave me, and suddenly they gave me something more. And then I was faithful over that, and then it just multiplied, 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 and I continued to make myself valuable in what I do. I continued to operate in excellence, which I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody, oh, I've just got a refer or a testimonial from a client or whatever. That was me being faithful. It's between me and God. That's it. That's it. It's not between me and anybody else. So if God sees what I'm doing, He will reward that. Alright, does that make sense? Fantastic. So that's just a little bit of me. Yeah, and there was, to be honest, there was failure after failure after failure. The only thing that I can think of if I think of my journey is I failed my way to success. Just continuous failure, over and over and over, without losing heart, without losing enthusiasm. I continued to stay positive. Even though it was at this one stage, it was I think 5 years straight failure. Straight. There was nothing in 5 years that even went my way, just a little bit. And it's quite tough to speak about that, but that is true. That is the reality. That builds character. Failure. Okay, so that's just a bit of me. So now everybody knows me. If you want the full scope, it can become a long story. There's obviously a lot of things that happened in the journey. So invite me for a coffee. Okay, so the question that I have this morning for you guys is, who's happy with his life now? At the end of the day, who of you can honestly tell yourself, if you go lie on your bed, I've had a fantastic day, I lived a full day today, I lived a full life today, and if today was my last day on earth, I'm a very happy man. Who can say yes? Fantastic, we've got a few hands. We've got a few hands. It's good, I like that. And there's obviously hands that didn't went up, so something is missing. And we need to get to the bottom of that very easily, very practically. How can you live a fulfilled life every single day of your life and actually achieve stuff? And I'm not talking about building a massive company like Apple or Coca-Cola or whatever. I'm just talking about a life that God called for you. How do you live that practically? How do you actually live a life of purpose? Because that's a word that's been used a lot. I mean, how many times do you hear you need to live a life of purpose? A life without purpose is a very sad thing, etc., etc. How many times do you hear that? Many or a few? Sonia hears a lot from me. She must be sick and tired. That's okay. So I firmly believe normality is insanity. I want to stay as far as possible away from being normal. Who agrees? Who wants to be normal? Hell no. There's no way I want to be normal. I want to challenge the status quo. I want to live on the edge of life. I want to push the limits in life continuously. Okay, it's like a drug. It's like a rush. When I have to step out in faith, or if I have to do something that's bigger than me, I get an excitement. I'm like, come on, what's the worst that can happen? What is the worst that can happen? Nothing. I don't know. What's the worst that can happen? If you make a decision in life, if you decide to go for a dream, if you decide that's one thing that I really want in my life to do, what's the worst that can happen?
You can just fail again.
You can fail, and your character can build. You can say, wow, well, I've done that wrong for chasing this dream, now I've got to fix that. So it's never too late. That's something Ian once told me. He said, it's never too late. Well done, Ian. Never in life can you ever achieve a point and say, well, it's too late. Except if you're looking at something like a sport dream where there's a limited time period that you have to use your body where it's still agile, etc., etc. But in the norm, it's actually never too late. Never too late. Don't ever get to a point and think, it's too late for me to be married, or it's too late for me to this, and it's too late or too late. No, no, no. It's always possible. You always have to think it's possible. Does it make sense? Are you guys still with me? Fantastic. So I believe. Well, I nearly stepped into the trap of normality. What a sad thing to say. But it is true, and I escaped that. I am a so happy man because I'm not normal. And people think I'm weird. I love it. That's a good thing. That's actually, I accept that confession. Alright, so the next thing that I want to chat about is, the question is, if you're not living a fulfilled life, how do you turn that around? That is the main question. How do I actually turn my habits around now and actually go live a life that makes sense? Go do stuff that I want to do in my life. Achieve what I want to achieve in life. How do you do that? I believe it's quite practical. It's not easy. Let me just say that. Nothing in life just happens. Nothing in life just happens. You're not going to sit here and suddenly, boom, there falls a bag, paper, money inside, problem solved. That's never going to happen in your life. Never ever, I promise you. It's never going to happen. If you want more money, make yourself more valuable. Then people will pay you for who you are. If you can increase your value, obviously the money is going to increase. If I stop at Pick and Pay and someone's watching my car, how many money do I give the guy? 2 rand, 3 rand, 5 rand? Because that's the value he offers me. He only offers that value in my life. But if someone washes my car, how much do I pay the guy? 50 rand, 100 rand? Because suddenly the value that this guy brings to the table is more. So I'm going to pay him more. Does it make sense? Okay. A PTY is not a lot of effort. So the value is 9.90. But I think a non-profit company is more expensive because it's more effort. So it's going to cost more. Does it make sense? It's more value. Okay. The greatest tragedy in life is not death, it's a life without purpose. That was said by Miles Monroe. We need to discover our purpose. It's a journey, it's a step-by-step journey. We discover the purpose and then we live the purpose. Everything starts now. I want you guys to think. Everything starts now with a blank piece of paper and beginner's mind. A blank piece of paper. Let's scrap everything, all the habits, all the nonsense, all the failure, just scrap it off. Blank piece of paper, beginner's mind. Okay, step 1, I believe you have to define success. Okay, so what is success? There's many things that's being said about success. I think one of the biggest misconclusions of success is if you see a guy with a nice car and a nice house. He's successful. How can you say that? It's impossible. In fact, no one knows if you're successful except you and God. Because only God knows what He has instructed you to do on earth that will make you successful. No one else on earth knows if you're successful or not. Even though I failed for 5 years straight, failure, 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 people looked at me and they said, well, this guy's obviously doing something wrong. And I had that conversation with many people. They would just feel the earnest desire to have a chat with me, and they would invite me for coffee and they would say, oh, Brent, obviously you're doing something wrong. Are you hearing God correctly? Well, I'm hearing Him correctly. And then they would talk to me and they would try to talk some sense into me. And I would say, well, that makes sense, that makes sense. If I get in my car, the Holy Spirit will be there immediately and tell me, that is not what I told you to do. And I would say, well, I can't deny what God is telling me to do. So, I'm sorry, this makes sense what the guy said, but I'm not going to follow that. Because I can't. Because I'm obligated to God. So I was successful for 5 years straight, even though I failed for 5 years straight, because I did what God told me to do. I took what He gave me and I made it successful. I did my best with that. Does it make sense? So just to give you an idea of what success is. To know your purpose, to grow, in order that you may reach your maximum potential and sow positive seeds. Okay, so sorry, this is actually what success is. Success is first of all to know your purpose. Now, does anyone know your purpose? No, then how can someone judge you as successful or not? That's the first thing. You have to know your purpose. The second thing is you have to grow to your full potential. Does anyone know what your full potential is? No. So how can anyone judge if you're successful? And the last thing is, sow positive seeds, sow back into other people's lives, because God's business is people. Sow seeds that empower other people. If you can do those three things, I believe you're successful. Does it make sense? Okay, so if you look at success, a seed. If I sow a seed and there grows a tree, the success of the tree was in the seed. When I sowed the seed, the success was already in the seed. It just needed to grow. So everything you need is already inside of you. You are the seed to the success of your life. You just need to grow that seed, and then when it's a tree, then you know, well, everything was already inside of me. Does that make sense? Okay. So failure is actually when you don't achieve your fulfilled purpose. So if a bird, if an egg is laid, and that bird never makes it to flight, that's failure. But if that bird makes it to flight, that's success. Does it make sense? So everything is already inside. Okay, I have to go quickly now. How do I become successful? First thing, you must figure out your life purpose. Second thing, you must set yourself challenging goals to grow. Third thing, start to influence people around you with your gifts and your talents. And the fourth thing is strengthen your gift or your talent to increase your value. And when you increase your value, people will pay you for who you are. Then suddenly it's not effort to make more money, because you're just who you are. You're valuable in what you do what you do, and the people say, wow, this is amazing, you're going to get an increase, I want you, you're going to get job offers. Because suddenly you are more valuable. Okay, so identify your talent and your passion, and make that, cultivate that, grow that, increase that, make it more valuable, that you will be able to be more valuable. Does that make sense? Okay. Alright, so next, second step. You have to discover yourself, your purpose, your dreams, and turn it into a life vision. How do you discover yourself? So basically you pinpoint your talents, your gifts, and your passions. You have to pinpoint that and say, well, this is what I'm good at. So that gift, that talent will be linked to your calling in life. And that calling will be linked to your dreams. Does that make sense? If I say it like that. So first of all, you go look at, what am I good at? What can I do better than anyone else? In the office, in your family, in life. What am I better than doing with that other people can do? If you can identify that, then you zoom in, you focus on that, you cultivate that, and you make that better and better and better. And you will become a person of value. When you're a person of value, suddenly everything changes. Does that make sense? Alright, then